Greetings, horror fans. Many people are familiar with the feeling of independence when they buy their first apartment, maybe even a rented one, as long as you are your own boss. But what happens when you are alone in an apartment and you begin to hear not only the buzzing of the refrigerator? The story is called The Watcher.
I said goodbye to the realtor and closed the door behind her, and looked around contentedly. Finally, my first apartment. Before that, I had to live with my parents, then a dorm at the university, and now I finally have a job, and was able to rent a small, cozy studio. It's amazing how little money I got this baby for. A completely fresh renovation, the city center, furniture, even dishes and bedding, everything was there. And most importantly, it was a symbolic fee and absent owners. The realtor said they live somewhere far away, and won't bother me. The only thing that confused me was the selection process. I passed as many as 3 interviews online with the owner of the apartment, an elderly surgeon, who received this property for services to society. I immediately realized that he was a doctor, since he wanted to know temperature, height, weight, blood pressure and childhood illnesses, not to mention my mental and physical abilities. What tricky questions he asked me, as if I was applying to be an astronaut. But it's okay. The main thing is that I passed. I happily flopped down on the sofa, and turned on the TV. How nice and cozy it is here. It's very quiet, you can't hear any cars passing under the windows, or the voices of neighbors. So quiet, it's even scary. I tried to drive away these thoughts, because I am no longer a child. It's Friday now, and I'll spend the weekend in my new apartment cooking, and watching TV shows, and then, work again. Yawning, I adjusted the pillow and fell asleep. Through a dream, I heard the door to the bathroom creak, followed by quiet, rough steps, then something soft touched my skin. It smoothly and slowly settled down at my feet. Oh, Charlie came, it flashed through my head. Stop, Charlie is my parents' cat, and I'm in a new apartment. There are no animals here. I jumped abruptly out of bed, and turned on the lamp. There was no one near my leg. I sighed. It's just a dream, nothing more. I'll dream about it. I need to lie back down. Just in case, I covered my feet with a warm layer of blankets. I lay back on the pillow, my hand reached for the light switch, but stopped. Just in case, I'll sleep with the light on, so it's calmer. Waking up early in the morning, I decided to put my things on the shelves and in drawers. Having pushed all the contents of my suitcase into the closet, it seemed to me that it was slightly shifted to the side, as if it was not in its place. Exerting my strength, I moved it a little to a more comfortable place. My gaze stopped on the wall. Even though it was covered with fresh paint, dark spots, similar to soot, rising to the ceiling, were still visible on it. What's that? Was there really a fire here? Probably a repair made precisely because of this. I hope no one was injured, and the people who were in the apartment were unharmed. I decided to put the closet back in place, and put the remaining things away. The whole day was spent arranging the lair. Everything had to be as convenient as possible. Now, since work is mostly at home behind a laptop, I should be as comfortable as possible in the apartment. I turned on the charger, but it didn't work. Is it broken? After checking the device in another outlet, I realized that everything was fine. It looks like the socket above the bed is faulty. It's a pity, it would be very comfortable. I took a screwdriver and went to take a look. I don't think it's difficult. I'll fix everything once or twice. I unscrewed the bolt that held the socket in place, and tried to remove it. The lights in the apartment turned off abruptly. Did that blow a fuse? It couldn't have. The screwdriver didn't touch the exposed wires. I went to the fuse box to turn the lights back on, making my way through the darkness. In the silence, I heard quiet movement on the floor, right in front of me. Almost like the rustling sound of a spider or centipede, magnified tenfold. I heard a click. My foot stepped on something soft and sticky. Ugh, that's disgusting. Where is this from? Everything was clean there. Having found the switch, I was about to turn it on, when something touched my hand. I screamed with all my might, and with a sharp movement, I turned on the switch. The light came on. There was no one in the room. I looked at the place where I was sure that I had stepped on someone a minute ago. It was also empty. What does this mean? Was it my imagination? It can't be. I definitely felt that there was something there. Maybe it would be better to rent something simpler. I'm ready to move right now. I gathered my thoughts. It's to pack my things again, look for a new home. Or maybe I just need to get a good night's sleep and rest. That night, the lights were turned on throughout the apartment, even in the toilet. It was much more comfortable for me. Then in complete darkness. I slept well, and spent the whole day playing games on my laptop. During the day, I felt quite safe. There was no need to turn on the lamps, and waste electricity. But the time for the games is running out quickly, and my eyes were already watering from playing for hours. It got imperceptibly dark, and I didn't even notice how quickly the night came. I rubbed my face with my hand, my throat was stuck. Achoo!
Be healthy.
It sounded right in my ear. I felt someone's heavy breathing, and howled as though I had been cut. In just a moment, turning on the lights throughout the apartment, I looked around. There was no one. Maybe it's a game? Maybe it's a smart speaker. A smart watch? Something, anyway. Well, no. That night, like the previous one, I slept with the lights on. And in the morning, I ran out to work. It's better to work in the office, than to stay at home for even another hour. All day, I was thinking about the new apartment, and everything I felt being in it. In fact, even if something lives there, it shouldn't hurt me. I thought hopefully. Though, it's probably better to just find a new apartment. In the evening, returning home, I saw an old woman on the stairwell. She was carrying heavy bags, and puffing like a steam locomotive. "Let me help," I said to her, and held out my hand. She smiled sweetly, and gave me the bag.
Thank you, honey. What floor are you from? You're so polite.
Me? The 5th. Where the studio is.
The studio?
The old lady looked at me with incomprehension in her face. Well, 1 room.
There are no 1 room, child, only 2 or 3 room apartments.
No, a studio apartment, 1 room, the window looks out into the courtyard. Belongs to the doctor. The old lady squinted and snatched the bag from me.
Go away, you damned one. Don't come near me.
She crossed herself, and rushed up the stairs so quickly, that I opened my mouth in surprise. Why was she so scared? Strange. Had she completely lost her mind in her old age? I thought about it. And indeed, there were only 3 entrance doors on the floor. And judging by the paint on the windows, the neighbors were 2 and 3, which means my apartment is a 3-room. But damn, I have a studio. What does it all mean? I stopped right on the stairs, and ran back out into the yard. Lifting my head, I looked at the windows. Here is the apartment where I live, and there are still windows nearby. Or there should be. But they are bricked up. Why? Why seal up the windows? After all, you can rent a larger apartment for a higher price. But I didn't see the door around me. It turns out the door was also walled up. I wanted to give up everything, and never return to that terrible place for anything. There's definitely something wrong going on there. But there was a laptop, documents, clothes, all my savings were there. So that's it, I thought. Now I'll go back to the apartment, quickly pack my things, and get out of this place away. I went up the stairs, and with each floor I became more and more uncomfortable. When I reached the 5th floor, I felt my hands shaking. I turned on the flashlight on my phone, and as soon as I opened the front door, I immediately pressed the switch. The light in the room came on. I went inside without turning off the flashlight, just in case. Quickly grabbing the bag, I began to shovel and throw all my things into it. After getting ready in 5 minutes, I called a taxi and went to the front door and opened it wide. It seems that everything is ready to go. My gaze once again fell on the socket where the screwdriver was laying. Something was there. Maybe I could get a picture with my phone's camera, and then show everyone proof that the apartment is dangerous, that there is some kind of monster there. Propping up the front door with a bag, I turned on the camera and took the screwdriver and unscrewed the socket. Taking it off, I sobbed in surprise. Behind it was a lock and a surveillance camera. Someone has been filming me this whole time. Have they gone completely crazy? Damn perverts. Usually in such cases, they rent apartments to girls. It's understandable why. But who needed to watch a nerd, who if not working for days, watches TV shows, and plays computer games? The lights went out abruptly. Something big and slippery snatched the phone out of my hands. The front door closed with a terrible bang. There was an oppressive silence and darkness. I started screaming hysterically. Taking a stool, I tried to break the window with all my might, but it didn't even crack. I only realized at that moment that it was soundproof. The perfect silence was here on purpose. No matter how much I yell and try to escape, I'm trapped here. I have nowhere to go. Curled into a ball, I was shaking with fear. There was a call from my phone. I think it was the taxi driver. He had already arrived and was waiting for me. The bell rang somewhere nearby, behind the wall, where there was an outlet. That monster took my phone there. Suddenly, I heard that familiar rustling sound. Apparently there are several monsters. Something nasty was crawling up to me. Grabbing my leg with its paw, it dragged me off the bed. I screamed madly and fought off the monster. Light. I need light, lots of light. Somehow, escaping from its tenacious paws, I ran to the stove and lit a match. The monster was gone. I started burning one match after another. The light is my only hope of salvation. After holding out like that for about 20 minutes, I realized I held the last match in my hands, and then the darkness again, in which this thing will try to attack again. But I won't give up. I will fight for my life to the end. I took a piece of paper from the flyers and set them on fire, then threw it all on the floor. Terrified, I collected everything I saw and threw it into the flames. My bonfire began to flare up. Soot covered the entire ceiling. Now I understood where the similar trace on the wall behind the closet came from. The previous tenant wanted to save himself as well. I couldn't breathe anymore. Staggering, I took a few steps and fell to the floor. It's better to die of carbon monoxide or fire than to become a victim of these creatures. There was a click. Water poured down on me. That's it. They had everything planned. People started fires just to escape from the beast, but the fire alarm goes off. The fire went out. A lot of creepy creatures appeared before my eyes, in the near darkness.
How's it going to be this time?
The owner is satisfied. Blood pressure and heartbeat are normal, the physical form fits perfectly. The adrenaline level is at its maximum. Tighten it up.
They grabbed me and dragged me away. Only darkness and fear remained in my head. I remember being tied to the bed.
How a man in a white coat gave injections, cut me, and sewed me up. Bright lights. Everything else disappeared from my memory. Light footsteps echoed. This time the apartment was rented to a young girl. The owner said she was perfect for me. He has plans for our offspring. The girl took her phone and sat on the bed and turned off the light. Excellent. Now it's my turn. I opened my mouth and bared 3 rows of snow-white teeth, grabbed her leg, and dragged her behind the bed, ignoring her screams. Be careful when you sign a rental agreement, because every apartment has its own rules and responsibilities. Fearful dreams, everyone, and see you soon.